Dear brothers and sisters, let us continue the book reading. Voice Real written by Babuji Maharaj, chapter Desperate Resolve. Mahatma Gandhi is said to have once remarked that the way to salvation lies through jail. I too had once expressed a similar view in a letter to my master, that the path of spirituality lies over stony ground and through thorny bushes. I had once been in such a state of extreme trouble and restlessness that I wrote to my master that if such had been the case with any man of worldly interest, he would have preferred to commit suicide. But due to the overpowering influence of my master, all this seemed to be pleasant to me. I chose a life of poverty, and the idea of having nothing but salt and bread was very charming to me. Here, Babuji Maharaj is explaining us about his spiritual journey. Mahatma Gandhi, once he remarked that the way to salvation lies through jail. That means to get freedom from these worldly bondages, we have to sail through this world only. Babuji Maharaj once expressed a similar view in his letter to his master Lalaji Maharaj that the path of spirituality lies over stony ground and through thorny bushes. That means it is not so easy to march ahead in this path of spirituality. There are so many hurdles, so many problems, so many miseries one has to overcome while traveling in this path. And Babuji Maharaj, he underwent such a condition of extreme trouble and restlessness. And then he wrote a letter to his master that if such had been the case with any man of worldly interest, he would have preferred to commit suicide. See, just imagine what might be the degree of his restlessness and pain. But due to the overpowering influence of his master Lalaji Maharaj, for him all this seemed to be pleasant. He felt that what are all the miseries or difficulties or hurdles that he faced during his march was bestowed by his master only. And he took it as a great pleasure. And further, he had chosen a life of poverty. Dear brethren, who will choose a life of poverty other than Babuji Maharaj? And for him, the idea of having nothing but salt and bread was very much charming. Usually, people wish to have so many dishes on their table. They desire to have many things while having their breakfast or lunch or dinner. In spite of that, will anybody want or wishes or desires to have only salt and bread? No, never. See, this is Babuji Maharaj. See, after reading this and understanding these lines, what is our duty? Our duty is to inculcate this quality of Babuji Maharaj within us. This is very important. Let us read further. It is a matter of pity for me that none perhaps has so far offered me a chance to impart such a state to him. In one case alone I had once tried to force it upon him, but I had not gone far with it when I was directed from above to stop it. If I impart such a type of training to my associates, I think the gentle minded amongst them will quietly slip away from me, while the rash tempered may perhaps be driven to open opposition. In my case, I was so much absorbed in my own thoughts at the time that I felt delighted in partaking of the remnants of the dog's meal. Not to speak of a person of low caste or untouchable, who is after all a human being. It is, however, a different thing that I never did have a chance for it. In my heart, I felt no difference between myself and the dog. This was my condition at the time when I was full with internal troubles. I owe it to my master for having trained me like that continuously for about 21 years. It was only after that period that I began to feel relieved, and the peace that I now enjoy is far greater in proportion to the amount of trouble I had at the time. Here, Babuji Maharaj is explaining us about his condition during his schooling period of 21 years of spirituality. He is telling that it is a matter of pity for him that no one perhaps has so far offered him a chance to impart such a state of condition to him. What is that state of condition? That is choosing a life of poverty and the idea of having nothing but salt and bread. That means the condition of that simplicity. And once Babuji Maharaj, he experimented on one person regarding this, but he could not go far with it because he received directions from the above to stop that. Why? Because if he imparts such a type of training to his associates, what happens, The gentle-minded people among them will quietly slip away from him. They will leave him. Oh, Master is telling us to eat only salt and bread. Why to face unnecessary problems? Let us leave him. Like that, they will slip away from him. And if such kind of training was imparted to rash-tempered people, then what will happen? They will be driven to open opposition. They may quarrel with Babuji Maharaj. So that's why he got the orders from the above to stop all these things. But he is explaining about his condition and case. In his case, he was so much absorbed in his own thoughts at the time that he felt delighted in partaking of the remnants of the dog's meal. Not to speak of a person of low caste or untouchable, who is after all human beings. He wanted to eat the left out food after dog has eaten it. See, this is the condition of Babuji Maharaj. Such a humble personality ever seen on this earth. Further, he is saying that, of course, it is a different thing that he never did had a chance for it, but he feels no difference between himself and the dog. And this was his condition at the time when he was full with internal troubles. And he owed it to his master for having trained him like that continuously for about 21 years, not a single day or a month. It is a period of 21 years of his training. Just imagine, is it possible for an ordinary human being to undergo such condition for such a long period? No, it is even unimaginable. It is only possible for our great master, Babuji Maharaj, because he is a supreme being. Let us read further. Further, during that time, I was under the watchful control of my father, who, having smelt my inclination towards the divine, feared lest I should some day give up the home and the world for the sake of forest dwelling. For this reason, a strict check was imposed on me, and I was not even allowed to go up to my master. It was only about 10 times or so that I could have a physical approach to him in all my life. But I did not feel it much, since I had no time to spare for brooding over these unnecessary things. It was all due to the sense of feelinglessness which got developed in me through the kind grace of my master. This is, in fact, the wonder of man worship. Here, Babuji Maharaj is telling about the watchful control of his father on him. Why? Because his father smelt his inclination towards the divine, and he feared that some other day Babuji Maharaj may give up the home and the world for the sake of forest dwelling, that is, for doing tapasya or penance to realize God. For this reason only, a strict check was imposed on Babuji Maharaj, and he was not even allowed to go up to his master. And in his lifetime, he approached his master only for about 10 times or so. That's it. But he did not feel for it, because he had no time to spare for brooding over these unnecessary things. Here we have to catch a point. Usually people will think that if at all we want to progress faster and faster, we have to approach physically our Guru as many number of times as possible. The more number of times we approach, the more progress we will achieve. Like that, people are there in this illusion. It is not so. So for this, Babuji Maharaj is the live example. Though he met his Guru only for few times, that is about 10 times or so, but his spiritual progress was unstoppable. So this point we have to keep in our mind. It is our dedication towards our practice and devotion towards our master is important than meeting him frequently. Further, what Babuji Maharaj is saying, that it was all due to the sense of feelinglessness which got developed in him through the kind grace of his master. And this is in fact the wonder of man worship. That is, he worshipped Lalaji Maharaj, who took him up to that highest level of human approach. So, dear brethren, with this chapter concludes, and let us know more aspects in the forthcoming satsang. Till then, I take leave. Pranams. Namaste.